just talk about really quickly who we are. I didn't know Mr. Warlord Bighead, Sir Bighead, was going to be kind of TAing with me, so that's pretty exciting. That was actually the first when I found out you were going to be out here. But my name's Sir Nip. I got my Warlord. When did I get my Warlord? Like a year ago, 2 years? I don't know, it's been a journey along the way. I've been playing for like 9 years, I think, with like about a year or two break in the middle of that somewhere. Or in the start of that, because I was in college and did a lot of like musical theater shit, so I kind of just couldn't really do any of this. So if you want to introduce yourself, Bighead.
Yeah, I'm Bighead. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I got my Warlord like a year and a half ago. So keep the previous, yeah. And
I think you got yours like literally a month before I got mine.
I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I decided to make it out to this event, and then I found out that we were friends.
Yeah. So like, the purpose of this class obviously is the name of this class, like fakes, baits, and feints or whatever. So I'm going to teach you some ideas and some theory, and then maybe we can go over like some fakes and baits that I like to use, and then maybe help you come up with something that'll help you use those same things. So like, a lot of people will get to a level like about mid-tier level where they're able to throw like really nice combinations of shots. So maybe like they throw a really nice high cross or a really nice sky hook. Maybe they even have a good bunny shot, right? So like those things are all great, but you get to a level where like you're not going to be able to hit people anymore because it doesn't matter how good or how quick your shot is. If I can't get Bighead to move out of the way and he's got good reaction time, he's always going to block my shot. So let's see. First thing, what is it? Maybe we should introduce everyone else. What's everyone's like experience and how long you've been playing? Ada?
I've been playing since 2016. Just moved up to Crystal Grove about a year ago. My first Kingdom event.
Sweet.
I'm taking your class SKPC, so I figured I'd come up here too, get a little taste.
Fuck yeah. It'll probably be a little bit different too, like I said, because I'm not the primary
Yeah,
teacher.
so I'm Jamie and Darian.
Yeah. And Lael, I did not see you there. That's Lael. How long have you been playing? Good experience and background?
8 years.
Varying levels of experience.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, no, I mean, I've been playing AFGAR for 8 years.
Okay. Maybe.
Not my strong suit.
Yeah.
But I'm Serpent Knight was knighted just over a year ago.
Sweet. Probably also include maybe how long you've been taking fighting more seriously. Maybe just include that as a year. So like I've been playing for 9 years, but realistically like 8 of them have been actually not just playing the game and going to practice more often. So my squire.
Stug. I've been playing since COVID just happened, lockdown just happened.
Never played during COVID.
So 2020, I guess that was. I've been fighting seriously since the beginning, ran into this guy, so I kind of naturally took down that path.
I've been doing dagger here for about 5 years, and recently started cross gaming and taking fighting seriously.
Public. I've been doing AmpGuard for 5 years, I think.
Sweet.
And I'm starting to try. I used to do DAG, and I stopped for a while, and so I'm trying to get myself to get better at fighting again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not getting angry.
Absolutely. TV, how long have you been playing? 4 or 5 years? That's pretty sweet. Pretty good level for 4 or 5 years.
Hi, I'm Nova. I started playing in 2017.
All right.
But I've only actually been fighting actively for about a year now.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
My name's Kiba. I've been playing since about 2017.
Okay.
I main archer.
Got you. No, I can definitely tell that. I got getting shot with your
for
fucking
every
arrows
year
all last
straight.
game.
And I recently cross-gamed into SAG and learned that I'm not terrible with a stick, so I figured
Careful, it's on camera.
So I figured I'd try and do a bit more serious fighting with Jim and I and some of the other guys up north. I'm going to SKCB next month.
Got you.
Too,
Well,
so.
hopefully we can show you some things that might level up your game a little bit.
Spaz, been playing for about 10 years. haven't really been taking it seriously, but I'm like, all right. I met some people that are pretty cool. I'm like, okay, I should probably try and keep up with them.
That's great.
I'm Dolo. I've been playing since 2009. I only started taking fighting seriously like probably about a year ago.
I remember. Yeah. I remember you told me actually.
Yeah, I just had fun before. I mean, I'm having fun now too.
Yeah. You can have fun. That's the key. Is you can have fun on the path to Warlord. It's not all shit. You know what I mean? And you don't have to get better at fighting. You don't have to have your overall goal as being Warlord. It just can be, hey, I'm just gonna kill that person in front of me more often than they can kill me, right?
I got my first order of battle like 2 weeks ago, or first order of warrior like 2 weeks ago.
Oh shit, dude! Congratulations. What's up, Toby? How long you been playing?
So I've been fighting since 2012, but I've had to take like 5 years off due to work. But I started taking fighting seriously after I got back into the game in 2018 when I met Warlord Atog, Sir Warlord Atog, and he just beat the shit out of me for 5 months. So
yeah, that sounds like Atog.
Yeah.
All right. So sick. Let's just get right into it. If you want to come over on this side, because it's a little bit closer to the camera. If I'm talking that direction, then it'll be. So I'm at like right there. Okay. My bad, dude. So first things first, definition that I put down for a fake is a motion that convinces your opponent that you're going to perform a specific action. And what I mean by that, it's used for misdirection and most effective when you go in opposite quadrants. Does everyone know what a quadrant is? Let me just explain it real quick, just to be 100% sure. So if you imagine his body with a cross in the center, I'm going to imagine those as 4 different quadrants. All right, and that makes it very effective when we're communicating what type of fake we're throwing. So I might be like, oh, I'm going to fake low on his sword side hip quadrant, and then I'm going to swing on the other board side hip quadrant. So that makes a lot more sense than being like, I'm swinging over here to swing over there. So we probably will use some sort of lingo like that. The goal of a fake is to use some sort of motion to convince them or threaten them to make them do something. So if I really want to hit Bighead in the hip with my signature money shot that I throw all the time, I might want to make Bighead think that I'm going to swing on this side of his body, this quadrant. Because fakes are usually most effective when you go opposite to opposite. So like if I want to hit Bighead in the side, I might step and fake this way to completely open his hip and then swing that way. Makes sense?
Why is it most effective when you go forward and forward?
Because when I swing in that direction, he has to travel the furthest back to go for the block if he falls for it. He might not do anything. I could fake it, he just doesn't move.
I also, like, this is something I'm a little passionate about too. So, like, physiologically speaking, bodies like to move certain ways. And if all of your muscles are paired muscles, and if you have, like, your bicep extending and your tricep constricting, and you suddenly have to move in a different direction, it takes longer for you to come to a halt in reverse direction than it does to shift into a new motion.
Really?
So yeah, like this is so that's a big part of like my fakes and stuff like that. Is that opposite quadrants is a really good place to start, but what you're really looking for is try to get them to do a push motion into a pull motion.
Oh shit.
Or a pull motion to a push motion. Yeah,
so complicated.
You did it. You knew.
So here's the thing. Honestly, I've been one of those people that got Warlord, and a lot of the stuff that I do is like, I did this worked this way, and that's how I did it. Like, I don't know the science or anything behind it. It's just like, so it's good to have. Yeah, so that's super great. Let's go over the next thing. So the definition of what I put for having a bait is intentionally leaving an area on your body open to elicit a certain response from your opponents. So like 2 points that I led from that is usually leads to a counterattack from you, or it's a trap. So generally, like a simple bait that everyone fucking does.
I'll check while I'm up there.
And I call this a lazy bait, but we'll go over that later. Is like, this is just the most simple one that everyone does, is they expose their shoulder so they can get that counterattack right there.
I almost had it.
Yeah, I also like to call this a passive bait. This is something a little, not passive, it's active. A progressive bait or proactive bait is that, like, there we go. I wrote it. I should fucking know what it is.
We're good.
What I mean is, by that, I'm throwing a combination, and I'm going to leave something open, knowing that it's open, but making him not think that it's open. That sounds really strange, right? So, for instance, Bighead, if you can get a board, can you use that?
Yeah.
So, like, normally baits work this way, right? I expose something, he swings for it, right, and I counterattack. Or maybe if I'm fighting like this, maybe I just have my hand a little bit low to get him to swing over top of my arm. Does anyone know why he would swing over top?
It's exposed.
Because my hand's a little, it's just enticing this nice little juicy piece of meat right here. He's just like, oh, that looks delicious. but I'm really just waiting so I could cross my board to hit him in the side. So those are examples of passive baits. They're the initial, the very, very first bait. The first action I do is coming into the fight with a bait. But the one that I like doing is like, let's say I have a combo. I have a setup. I'm totally changing the order of this.
No, it doesn't bother me at all. I can memorize it.
So everyone knows, or if maybe if you don't know, I really like throwing the shot called the money shot, which is where I throw a sword side hip shot right there. All it is I'm leaning this way, tabling my board out, and I'm hitting right here, okay? Now my goal is actually not to hit him in this bait. I'm trying to get him to block, and then I'm trying to fake up here to get him to throw at my shoulder, right? Because a lot of people, when I throw here, what are they gonna do? They're gonna chop at my arm. So realistically, I know that he's gonna do that. Or I've been fighting him for a while, I'm like, oh, Bighead loves to cross on me. So what I might do is expose my arm on purpose as an active bait. I might go, my arm is exposed, and then go. So it's an active bait when I don't go into the fight with the bait. I create the opening for myself. Does that make sense? All right, whatever. So let's go into fakes. And then we can go over like different examples of like baits and stuff. Okay, so fakes, this is something that like Sir Brett came up with, or I don't know if he came up with it, but something he has in all of his videos. He talks about weapon fakes and hand fakes, and then also body fakes. So he has like those three things. So a weapon fake is exactly what you would think. I'm not moving anything other than my sword to get the fake. So if you pick the shield. The shield is a perfect example because what are most people fighting? They're fighting sword and board. So it's generally easy to see how things are open. If I do like this huge fake, it's obviously going to show visually what's open. So a weapon fake would be me moving just my weapon in a direction to hit something. So for instance, my favorite one that I like to throw is a loop under the board and then a chop to the shoulder. All right? That's called a loop fake. So it's really, really simple. You can do it very different ways. People used to do it in the old days. They call Fauchon lives. They do the cowboy lasso. They go, woo! And do that. Or you could go under the shield like that. I really like this one because you don't go in front of their eyes. So you just go under the board to drop the board and then explode onto the shoulder. You can do it other ways too. So like maybe if I want to hit Bighead in the side, I might loop, woo! And then do that. But that's even a little bit more than just a hand fake, right? Because I did a level change. I move my hips. So it's a little bit more. Alright. So that's what a weapon fake is. A hand fake is what I have next. I categorize that with weapon fakes. It's very similar. I'm not necessarily moving the tip of my sword, but I might be pumping my hand. So whenever someone says like a punch fake or like a pump, that's what I'm talking about. So if I want to expose Bighead's shoulder again, I keep using that as an example, I might just put my hand downwards. So I'm not moving my body, it's just like that to expose. You can even do it the other way too, right? So you can go, Statue of Liberty, you know, and hit them in the head. I suck at hitting that. I'm still working on hitting board side hip. So those are the two, yeah. It's fucking hard as shit, especially use flats all the time, it's hard.
Thank you for empathizing.
All right, and now we have body fakes. The act of moving the whole body to cause misdirection, so level changing. Everyone understand that, level changing? So like changing your level. Okay, so what I mean is if same, let's go with the shoulder again. If I want to hit Bighead's shoulder, Big Fake's shoulder, I might step in like this to make him think that I'm gonna hit the hip, so I go like that. That's even with a little combo too, because I'm pumping down with my hand and coming back up. So you can do it the other way too. You're like, ooh, come up on your tippy toes and then drop down, right? And you can do that with the money shot. So like turn the other way. So if anyone knows how the money shot was created, it was created by like Sir Leaf, by SKBC a long ass time ago. There's actually two parts to the money shot. The original way that it works is if I want to hit this hip right here, I want to step across, step laterally to the right. This is assuming I'm fighting a right-handed fighter, because it wouldn't really work as well against a lefty. I can hit this, it's just very different. I have to like really put my body here and really make him think that I'm going for the hip and up here. So I might be like that, and you might get it, but they'll probably just take leg anyway. So
yeah, they're the worst.
no, but okay. So the way the money shot works is using your body mechanics, using a body fake to step this direction, because going to guard, his body is going to follow me instinctively, and his hip is going to become more exposed. So if I lay my sword on his shield, it's now on the body. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? So there's other ways you can use it, you know, like maybe coming in and doing this. You can do this a lot. If people are afraid of your stab to the tummy, you can be like, you come in and go, come over the top. I love that one. It was taught to me by Sir Ballas. You come down here. It's actually really cool. You start from far away. You point your tip at your opponent. You're like, I'm going to stab you. And then you come in and then just come over the top like that. All right, anyways, the way that I found, those are 3 different fakes, but realistically, no fake is just those 3 things by themselves. They're all 3 things. So I encourage you to try to combine them. So like, the money shot might be inherently just this step to the right and then this hip right here, right? But it works best if I pump up, or maybe I pump to the side. Because I really, really want him to think I'm going to hit here, or I'm going to hit here. So I might go step, pump up. Because now he's like, oh shit, he's going to throw up here. So it'll be like, huh, huh. Make sense? Now, a lot of you might have issue with like hitting certain people. And this is like a phrase that Brett uses a lot. You have to tailor your fakes to your opponents. Have you heard that before? I'm sure you've probably heard it before. What that means is I have to actually pay attention to who I'm fighting, right? So when I start up and I'm fighting someone, you can use this in tournament, right? You especially use it during Ironmans because those are the ones that don't matter. The Ironman is like, does everyone know what an Ironman is?
Explain it real quick.
It's where before brackets, we determine who has the most kills, the top 8 amount of kills in a line of fighting in bear pits. Okay.
We'll be doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I might be. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe. Good, you're doing it? Sweet. All right. But a tactic that I might use when I'm first fighting someone, say I've never met Bighead before. I don't know what the fuck Bighead is capable of. I've heard he's a warlord, he's tall as fuck, he's fast, right? So I might want to throw like little junk shots, that's what they're called, right? That's what Brett calls them. I'm not actually intending to hit him at all. Maybe I'll just throw a shot at his shield. Maybe at his hip, just to see if he'll block it. Because, like, he still has to block that. If he doesn't do anything, he's going to get hit, right? So I'm throwing stuff out here just to see how his shield moves, just to see how he'll react. Maybe I throw here, and then I notice that right when I, like, pump to that direction, he goes, like, he might not even throw, but he goes, oh, fuck it. So I know that that bait from earlier is now an option. Now, if I swing over here and he doesn't do shit, then I know, that bait's probably not going to work, right? He's not gonna react when I throw here, and I get him to throw a cross on my arm. He might not even react. He might just let me do it. So that's not going to work. So what I might realize, oh shit, he didn't swing at me. So now I can hit this all day without him throwing at me. So now I can start coming in with maybe a pump fake, you know, maybe that big ass loop fake that I really love because it looks sexy and that's all that matters. Like if I kill you and I look good doing it, does it really matter? Does anything else matter? No, but I don't remember where we're going with it.
Well, if I may,
go
talk about like tailoring fakes.
Oh,
one of the big things is not just watch where their shield is going, but watch what they're doing with their feet. If they back away from you, catalog that. Know that they're going to react that way moving forward, probably. You know, and there are a lot of shots that don't become open when you start to do a fake, and I go like, no, like, okay, well, there are now shots that are immediately off the catalog. If that's your opponent's first reaction, that's usually going to be what they feel safest doing. There was a classic Clolibus talk years ago where he just talked about like one of the best ways of gaining information off the bat is before even throwing the junk shot from out of range, go like this and just take the guard. The way they react is probably what they are most afraid of you doing. And most fakes, you're looking to either go into what they expect to have happen or go into what they fear happening. And if you can establish what they expect, or you can set what they fear. Like talk about like if they're afraid of the tummy stab, you can make a person afraid of the tummy stab.
Yeah, you just got to get it once. That actually leads into something else. I'll wait.
Yeah. But you know, different things like if I go up to Nip and I do the little like mini half charge, and okay, so now I know that Nip's first reaction is to cover that hip, right? So what I want to do next is I want to come in and I want to fake to that hip because Nip is immediately going to go like, aha, I was right, right? And if I can get some sort of combo off of that, you know, here, something like that, then that's just information that I'm gaining for free, and especially with high level fighting, like so much of it is trying to get information on your opponent and trying to prevent them from having information about you, and just that initial like, okay, here, right? If you react at all, I gain a free piece of information, and you may know that I just got a free piece of information. You build that into your decks of how this fight's going to go. So.
That coming off of that, he talked about how like you can make someone afraid of a fake. A stimulus is not going to work, so something I give you to fake you is not going to work if it's not a threat. It needs to be threatening. So that could be like the one thing that you're doing that might not be working. So like I might not be able to hit Bighead here if he doesn't think I'm going to hit him here every time if he doesn't do something. So if I'm just hitting him in the shield, it's not going to be threatening enough if I'm down here. No one's going to really react. They might just be like, you're stupid, and just hit you in the back when you're doing that. So I urge people to fight more often or to just hell something. So for instance, I was talking with Fikes earlier, like literally 5 seconds ago, about how I'm really bad at hitting this off rip, okay? So any fake I do there is not going to be super threatening, unless if I maybe just hit you with it, and then you're like, oh shit, he can hit with him, you know? So I might not want to fake here, but everyone knows I can swing here, so all of my fakes can come off of that really easily. So you need to think about something that you do that hits most often. You might have a really, really fucking sick high cross. You're like, you could be like Bell and be like, I'm either hitting here or I'm hitting under here. You know the cross is coming, so it opens everything else up, right? So you're like, oh shit, Bell's doing this. So your whole guard goes over here, and then he's like, oh no, I just hit you in the shoulder. So find something that you're really good at and just capitalize on it. And the only way you can do that is by practicing and focusing on something that you're really good at. So if you don't have something you're really good at, fucking get good at something. All right? That sounds really like generically. But let's go back to tailoring fakes for your opponents. If I'm fighting, this is a general rule. If I'm fighting someone that's higher level, you don't actually have to do very much to fake them out. It sounds kind of confusing, but it's true. If I'm fighting Bighead, I might just need to do this, and he might move because he knows like, shit, this is a threat.
I know what happens next.
Yeah, he knows what happens next. He knows this is coming, or like something like this is coming, right? But if I'm fighting a new player, they're not going to know what this is. They're going to be like, ah, like, and just hit you, and you're going to die, right? So generally, it's actually better to use more weapon fakes or hand fakes on newer players. Huge looping, sexy shots that you're like, oh god, that looks so cool. Like one that I love doing on everyone when I go to a new kingdom is I do this huge loop up here, I cock up here, and I just hit down like that, and everyone's usually like, oh my god, that's so cool. And it's like, nah, it was slow as fuck. Like you just didn't know what to do. So that's come up with 2 different ways, or maybe even the more different variations you can do of the same fake, the better, right? So maybe on Bighead let's go over maybe a different shot. Maybe I'm trying to hit you in board side hip. Maybe this will work on him where I'm like that, right? It was just a simple cross, faking this direction, stepping and hitting on this side. But on a new player, I might have to be like, put my sword behind my head, like this. Yeah. All right, what's next? Ew, there's ants everywhere. Ew, ants. Combination. We talked about money shot setups, tailoring your fakes. Okay. I didn't talk about this. Threatening. We did talk about how something needs to be threatening and how it's threatening, but we didn't talk about safety. So Bighead mentioned earlier how you want to see how your opponent reacts. So maybe if I'm fighting someone who I've never fought before and I throw a fake at them and their first reaction is to chop or like to try to hit me, then maybe I know that I probably shouldn't be doing fakes on that person or really big setups. Like I might not want to go up to this person that's chopping and go like, you know, he's probably going to hit me somewhere in there. I might want to just stick to one-hitter quitters where it's like, oh, up high, one over here, you know, just one pump at a time. Generally, if you fight someone and you've been beating their ass into the dirt, they tend to get timid. Like they throw their whole toolbox at you and they don't know what they're doing. Like they'll just shut down. They'll be like, okay, well I can't throw that anymore, that didn't work. And then they just stand there, and that's when you know you can start doing the crazy stuff, because they won't react to anything you do. They'll just kind of like sit there and let you hit them. So maybe try saving the fancy stuff for after you've been fighting for 5 minutes and you figure someone out. This is something I wrote in a special column. I call it like the fake cancel. So it's kind of like when you're playing a fighting game and you have like a button set up and you're like, oh, I press the trigger and it causes the fake to cancel it and I just throw something. So like what I mean by that is I might be throwing a shot out here, like a fake. It's not meant to do anything, it's maybe just meant to make his board do something, but if I notice that he doesn't do anything, then I just continue with what would have happened. So like let's say he doesn't even move his board at all, and I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, you're not gonna move? And then I just finish anyways. Same goes for, Delos does this thing called a double board side. Has anyone heard of that before? A double board side is where you throw at the edge of their board, you take like a half step in with your back foot. So like I step with this foot, see how my feet are splayed? I bring my foot in and I throw further. So it's kind of like this, it goes like that. Did I hit you in the face?
No.
Okay, good, I wasn't looking. So, what I mean by that is maybe I throw the first one, he doesn't react at all, and I just immediately throw. Like I just don't, because you don't want to get into a mode where you're playing block strike with someone. What block strike is where like Bighead and I are fighting, I throw one, he throws one, I throw one, he throws one, I throw one, you know? You want to take initiative. You don't want that little chain to happen. If I throw a shot at Bighead, I might make him think that it's his turn to throw. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm actually throwing, or I'm not going to stop. You know, like, because then he has to walk into that volley, but that's not a thing. All right, let's talk about if anyone has some ideas on like a fake they've been working on, and then maybe everyone can like tear it apart and figure out how to make it better. You have one?
One, I don't know whether it's really a fake completely or just a dumb thing that I do.
Let's get up, show us.
I will, this is usually when I'm fighting with a bigger shield.
Okay.
I'll have
Assume it's
like
bigger.
Power
Yeah.
like this.
Are you fighting Bighead, or what are you doing in this example?
So I'm going to, I'll set up like this, and then I'll snap out.
Oh, like that's called a dragon tail.
Yeah, the dragon.
All right, so that's not necessarily a fake. It's a shot.
Well, I'll like start here and then come
Okay.
back.
One thing that you can consider, that's not bad, like that you might get this first step, man, I have short ass arms. So you might want
Ass arms.
You might really want to make the opponent think that you're hitting right here, right here. So you want to step, maybe starting with your left foot.
Yeah.
Because then you can take a step with your right. No, actually, I don't like that. Because you want your left foot in front.
Yep.
Right?
Attack with foot. Attack with foot.
It would be a
Your left foot
drive
forward.
in, and then
Are you spinning, or are you just
I'm
putting your
spinning.
arm? Oh, you're
I'm
spinning.
spinning to some extent.
Okay.
What about a stutter step?
Yeah, I do
Stutter
it.
step with one foot. Yeah.
Okay.
So starting here and then facing to the back.
Well, his board is going to be there unless if I convince him not to be.
Yeah.
So what you might want to do is come up here, do something up here. So like that could be like a Foshan lives into the hip.
Okay.
Or you could be like maybe a pump up.
What if you did circle forward, this stuff, to do the transition?
Very nice. And I already like starting sword and forward, so that feels natural. Maybe you can try that.
That's what I was kind of trying to do. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. That looks cool. All right. So you have something to go off of. Like Kayo said, maybe try starting with your right foot forward.
Yeah.
I would add a fake to this quadrant.
Absolutely.
And don't step forward. I would try stepping.
Yeah.
Essentially.
With your same money shot method.
Yeah.
It's basically that, only behind the shield.
Except I'm
instead
now
of in front of it.
exposing my back. But it looks really cool, and it probably will. I've seen people with like really nice long arms do that shit too.
Now, one thing that I would say, using a larger shield is maybe more difficult. But go in, throw that first fake, and start moving the shield across. Because you're going to open yourself up, but you're also going to be hiding the shoulder
It does
roll
look like your body
at the same
almost
time.
moved with it, so I couldn't really see that you were putting it behind you.
Yeah. So with a tower shield, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do that subtly. But it's definitely something that can be done.
All right. Does anyone else have another?
I got one.
Check one.
So I normally do this whenever I'm armed. I'm normally right-handed. So I only got my left hand left. So I'm going against somebody with I'm armed.
sword?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've lost this arm. I've dropped my shield. I switched my weapon over before dropping on the ground and dying. And I like to do like it's like a body fake and a hand pump where I come down here and they drop their shields and I just pump it.
Okay.
I do one
have little
really.
success with that.
I do one really similar to that. I open with a fake stab, because again, people are generally speaking going to be worried about the stab. So sword foot forward. So if I'm going like this, arms gone, I'm going to come in. I'm going to go here, there.
Oh, okay.
So because
It's almost like already coming in.
yeah. So one of the things that's really nice about it is that essentially I'm just continuing the same motion. I'm starting here. A lot of times people are going to be most worried about eating that stab right over here.
It's scary and it hurts.
Yeah, it's just scary and it hurts. So if Nip were to roll down with it and I roll up with it, I'm effectively continuing the same motion. And to block that again, he has to go from that rolling motion here, reversing and catching that one. Now people absolutely can survive that, but usually it's going to be footwork.
Sounds
so
like you
that-
need a dome in that scenario.
Everybody needs a dome. Everybody.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion on it. Is that I think that people don't fear the hip wrap enough because they see the hip wrap all the time.
It's also easy to block with just my sword. A stab is really hard to block with the sword straight on.
Yeah.
So I can just, and then if I get him on the outside, so throw that shot. Like,
the
boom! It's just really easy for me to just come right back down.
yeah, and especially if you're already armed, a lot of times your opponent is going to be playing a little bit defensive and just going like, okay, look, just throw your shit. Like as soon as you throw, cool, great to know you. So like I have success with that. It works really well with just the way my body moves and my proportions and all that jazz.
Actually, can I show you one that I really like using when I'm armed?
Totally.
I don't throw across his shoulder. I will throw there, but not actually to hit it. Like I might just tap it to actually. I'll make it look like I'm gonna hit it, so I might be doing. And I'm really trying to get that arm because I'm just throwing here to get the shot to come out, block, and then just chop like that. So that's one, but that's not the one I like to do. It's where I'll just step in and pump right here really hard because they really have to respect this right here. And you can do two things, but let's go over the first one. Is I'm going to shoot right here because this is a kill. And it's actually really easy after you throw that shot to go back into guard because it's just a straight down. So it's and then you just come straight down. So even if I don't hit it, I'm still safe. Now if I come cross, coming straight down, it's like it feels further away. It doesn't pulling thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's an all or nothing shot. Like if that lands, great, but if it doesn't land, like I'll go to the dead pile.
Sweet. Also,
as a side note, if anyone standing here is left-handed, those are just our shots. As an aside, like, I'm just saying, like, if you are watching or hearing this and you're watching them do this moment, that is a left-handed shot, like in general, which is a pause. I'm just trying to for those who are not who are watching and are left-handed, you're talking about being armed. That's just our general, that's our general space to be in. So it's just something to note for us.
So just, feel free to throw that against left-handed fight against you.
Yes. Absolutely. It's the same argument we've always talked about for years. Like, whenever we throw it at you, please just throw it back at us. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
All right.
You said there was two parts to
There's
that.
two parts. Well, it's not the same shot, but
Okay.
I also have to pay attention to what gear they have. If they're using a punch shield, it's a lot easier to move. So I'm going to go here to get him to move his board because maybe in a fight before I throw this a lot. So a lot of people expect to either block here or block here, but this is now exposed. And now this is the money time. So you go pump here and just throw on that side. Because it's a punch shield, it'll move out of the way. If people are using a strap, it's not as effective. What you might want to do is if they go here and don't do anything, chop on the leg and step back. All right, does anyone have another one? Come on. Get on down here.
So this one's gonna be a little weird because it's word specific.
Okay.
As a sort of forefront thing, I have cerebral palsy on this arm, so it's basically about as useful as a side of beach to strap my arm.
Got it.
So the idea, I haven't gotten too far, but the idea is that I bait you out with the left arm, and I go left. The problem is I can see about three different things wrong with that. And once it's out there, it doesn't just stop you from this. I'm not sure where I can go from that.
We talked earlier about like a lazy bait because you're kind of showing your plan immediately by having your hand out. I would almost just kind of like maybe lean forward and expose the shoulder. It looks a little less obvious. Although this is kill shot, this is not. So you have to be aware. So if Bighead is fighting me, I know that like if he swings at my shoulder, I can actually bring my arm up. So like I can swat it, chop right there. Although you would hit me. Also, you can try this as well. Not a lot of people do this for some reason. Probably because it doesn't generate as much power. I don't like throwing the chop a lot. I like to throw an undershot because Bighead's hand is still kind of in the way. If he like maybe turns his wrist over, I might not actually hit it because you see how I have to kind of like go over to hit. I actually like to chop this direction a lot of the time. It doesn't hit with a lot of power, but it naturally moves my hand into the center. If you guys see that? My hand is in the center. If I miss this shot, my hand is down here at my legs. It's not doing shit. So I'm here, and that could lead into something else. That's kind of a single sword thing. That's not necessarily just like a sword board thing. It's like that. Yeah. And it leads into a chop. So it's like, you want to try that? So maybe just like expose your shoulder a little bit. To have your hand here to just like kind of come up and block. There you go. So yeah, you can chop up. I would just take a step, this right foot when you see it coming, there, and then finish on the other arm. See that? You can still throw the chop. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just trying to give you another option.
Yeah. So. Yeah, one of the things I very typically do is if I'm fighting single sword against single sword, is my stance usually is something like this, right? Like I very obviously am baiting the left side, but it's because I use a lot of distance control for defense, a lot of times people feel that their only valid shot is to attack my left side. With that in mind, like I do an enormous amount of that. Like I want to have them throw, and a lot of times I do chop down, and there's the up down combo. My personal favorite is if I can get someone to commit to that shot, and I'll hand block and chop across, and then step in and just hit
finish on a leg.
The shin.
I like that.
Right, and one of the things that makes this really effective is that if people are used to fighting people to double tap, when you get hit in that arm, the first thing you're doing is pulling your arm back as hard as you can, which is driving the weight with the front leg. So if you can get that first shot, it's very unlikely they're going to scoot their legs back because they're typically worried about the double tap itself. So if I can get that first one and you start pushing back with your weight, I've got that one almost guaranteed. So I have a lot of success with that one. But yeah, so feel free to throw it actually. So I throw here. So take a step with the back leg as you hand block and chop across. Right? Now take a step with the other back leg and drop down. Yep.
We got all that messy stuff too. About paint. We got people who can show you how to make stuff look pretty.
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of martial arts footwork is just it's fighting footwork, right? Like you are trying to move through a space, you're trying to keep yourself guarded, and you're trying to be able to generate power to hurt the other person. So a lot of that just works pretty much the same way. So I also like it because it makes me feel like a samurai. If I can go boom, and I take this step right here, that shot there just it's a crowd pleaser.
It feels really sexy. Hey Queen, what time is it?
5.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Oh, so we already reached our hour.
Probably, yeah.
Right. I feel like normally I would probably have us do a drill. If we have time, I guess we could try to.
Yeah.
I've only been recording for 38 minutes.
I think you started
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
We waited a little bit.
So then maybe we should do a drill. Maybe everyone pick a partner. Let's go. It looks like not everyone brought a board, so let's go single sword, and then maybe do a fake back and forth, and we can critique the fakes as we like walk around. I'll show you like maybe a few single sword fakes that I really like myself, and then maybe you can try to.